good evening, everyone. We may not have much time today, but thanks a lot for sir coming from the other end of the city. I'll request Mr. G M Kapur, the President of Calcutta Management Association, to kindly introduce Navarun Sir. And we thank once again all of you for coming and attending this session and being with us for so long. And of course, we should thank Caring Minds for supporting us every month with this event. With that, may I request President of CMA, Mr. G M Kapur, to kindly introduce Mr. Navarun Sen, sir. Please.
Good evening, everyone. And rain can always spoil sport. So I think we have no one to blame but the rain gods. However, Mr. Sen is here today. So I think we are all waiting eagerly to hear him speak. Mr. Sen is the President and COO Century Plyboards India Ltd, Panel Division. He is a management committee member of Bengal Chamber of Commerce and Industry. He is the co-chair of the Brand and Marketing Committee, Bengal Chamber of Commerce and Industry. With over 34 years of rich industry experience, Mr. Sen is a seasoned professional who has excelled in multiple functional areas including sales, marketing, supply chain, manufacturing, customer service and telecom network operations. His career spans reputed organizations such as United Spirits Limited, McDowell, VST Industries, Batco, Pepsi, Mahindra Holidays, Telenor, and since 2013, Century Plyboards India Ltd, where he oversees P&L responsibilities of the plyboard industry. He holds a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering from INIT Surathkal and a postgraduate diploma in management from IIM Lucknow. He has also enhanced his expertise through executive programs of prestigious institutions such as the London Business School, INSEAD, and the Indian School of Business. Over the years, he has been instrumental in creating iconic brands like Signature Whiskey and Scenic 710 Plywood. His exceptional contribution in marketing were recognized with the Marketer of the Year 2024 award by Advertising and Marketing magazine. On the aside, Mr. Sen also advises startups and is a regular speaker at various industry forums. Over to you, Mr. Sen. And would you like to, I think you speak from there?
Yeah. Okay. I can see that.
I think इसको थोड़ा साइड में कर देते हैं.
So good evening and apologies once again for this, unprecedented traffic jam in Tarasola. That's where I'm coming from. And thank you once again. Thanks, Mr. Kapur and the Calcutta Management Association for inviting me for this talk. And so I think we've run a little short on time, but I'll try and cover up. So today I'm going to talk about something which is very close to my heart, having lived through it in a couple of organizations and a couple of assignments. It's about design thinking and the human-centric approach to design thinking, which is very integral to design thinking. Now, actually, if you look at it, in terms of innovation, when we talk innovation and design thinking is a lot about, creating solutions and for innovation. So for innovation to be effective, it has to be novel. It has to be novel, it's something new, and it has to be useful. So innovation has to be, as I said, novel and useful. And if it is novel and not useful, it doesn't make any sense. So design thinking is something that brings in that upgrade into the innovation where it provides the usefulness to the novelty that you create or novel solutions that you create. So let me talk about it a little bit. And if you really look at it, design thinking, if you really look, is what we call is a mindset and an approach to problem solving or innovation, which is anchored around human-centered design. And what we mean by human-centered design is that when we approach a problem, there could be two ways we approach the problem. One is we attack the problem. The other way is we try and find out the underlying reason for that problem and then solve for the solution. And that is the basic distinction between a human-centered design thinking approach and a traditional approach of problem solving. And so therefore, at the basis of the human, of the problem solving is the human-centric approach. Now, let me give you a very simple example. You see, these days when people work on the field, we have something called a Salesforce automation. It's a tool, it's an automation wherein you are actually tracking the movement of your executives in the market, visiting, they are supposed to visit retail outlets, they're supposed to meet dealers, whatever it is. So, you track their movement on an app or something similar or a handheld device, and you call it Salesforce automation, where you know exactly where the guy is going, whom is he meeting, how much time he is spending, and whatever the business extraction that's happening. So suppose with this Salesforce automation, and Salesforce is a very big company today or equivalent to that, suppose you find that your sales is dropping on a particular route, and the diagnosis is that this salesman is expected to visit 50 dealers and he is visiting only 20-30 of them. So if you were to attack the problem, what would you do? You will set a KRA for that guy that I want 10 outlets to be visited every day. In a week, you must visit the 50 outlets. 4 times a month you have to visit them. And you task that guy and you track him on that. And so therefore, you are attacking the problem and coming with a solution that you are going to task this guy. The other approach is that why is he missing, why is he not visiting the 50 outlets? Why is he not doing the 10 visits he's supposed to do every day? And then you start understanding, actually you look at the human side of it. What is he doing the whole day? Where did he move? Where did he start from? What was on his mind? What was the calls that he was receiving from his boss? What happened? Why is he not being able to do the 10 visits? It could be, this guy is not used to doing the travel. He comes from a project background. He is not used to working on a beat route. Or it could be that while he's supposed to, particularly in building materials in the industry I'm in, it could be that, if a certain site or a project site comes up which has to be converted there and then to extract the secondary sale, he has to attend to that first before he goes into the rest of the beat. So you are trying to do a human-centric approach. So when you start analyzing the underlying reason why a certain situation is happening or why a certain solution is required, that's when you will come up with the right kind of thing. So in Century, for example, we had this problem. Then we realized that in our kind of industry where a person is expected to do a lot of secondary sales and do project visits and things like that, to do a retail coverage, you cannot bound him to what we call a permanent journey plan. Therefore, the flexibility we brought in was that, look, you have to visit these outlets even once in the entire 30 days. So that flexibility we provided so that that guy can actually go and attend where a customer calls and say, hey, come to my house, I need plywood. And that's more important than visiting the retail outlet, which can be done 1 or 2 days later. So these are so this is just an example how a design is thinking with a human-centric approach can work. So this is at a very fundamental level. And as I told you, problem-solving methods, traditional methods are root cause analysis. You ask why until you come to the understanding of the problem, and rest of it. Whereas design thinking, in contrast, works on a user-focused, empathy-driven, highly iterative solution. So the traditional methods actually help in situations where the problem can very easily be defined. Problems that you cannot very easily define, a design thinking approach works better. Now, what do you mean easily defined and not easily defined? So a problem which is not easily defined or a situation that is not easily defined is, for example, I have a loyalty program for my carpenters and contractors so that they are influencers and they push my sale. However, if I were to pinpoint and say how much are these loyalty programs giving me in terms of sale, it becomes very difficult because you cannot isolate the other factors. There's advertising happening, there's trade promotion that is happening to the retailers, and those kind of things. So it's a little nebulous thing to actually come and pinpoint to exactly how much is the loyalty program giving me. That's a situation where you can use design thinking to actually come to the exact nature of the problem. And the best thing is, therefore, what happens in design thinking, I'm just giving you a little construct out here, and then I'll move on to certain industry examples, and I personally have gone through, I'll share some of my experiences. But the fundamental difference in a design thinking, and typically we say we use a 5-step process, you can all read it. What happens is that we don't define the problem upfront. Like the Salesforce automation problem I gave you, is that the problem is dropping sales because visits to the retailers are not getting done. However, if I were to take a design thinking approach, I will not define the problem in the first instance. I will first do what I was saying, a human factor study, to understand what is the salesman doing the whole day. Why is he behaving in a particular manner? What are his compulsions and all those kind of things. And once you do that, then you start defining the problem. So the problem is not that he's missing visiting the retail outlets. The problem is lying somewhere else. And then you start working through the problem. So you define the problem after you've done the study. And then what happens is, then the third stage is, of course, you ideate what could be the reasons, what could be the solutions. And most important is that once you start ideating in this process, it's not a linear streamlined process. What you do is, when you're ideating, and that's the time you whiteboard, it could be many different kind of solutions. And you whiteboard, you can think about the most idiotic reasons and the solutions. And what you do is that as and when the ideas come out, you kind of go into quickly testing them out. And that's what we call fast prototyping, which means that you are trying to think of a solution, you quickly try and work that solution out, test it out, let it fail. So you come up with a better and next version. So that's called fast prototyping. So this requires very fast prototyping and an iterative process. And finally, then you come and test it and you create the solution. This is just a theoretical construct that I gave you. However, I was talking about innovation and solutions, but design thinking today is actually progressed hugely, particularly in a digitized world. I'm not an expert on it, but the human-computer interactions, that has become very, very critical from a design thinking point of view. Because how do you design the interaction of the human with the machine or the app or your phone? So your eye movements, your facial expressions, today you can actually capture that and see how people are reacting to the application or the user interface that you're building, how they behave, where do the eyes move to, how are they clicking on the, on the cues that they are getting. So that's become a huge science by itself, and it's very, very critical in software development, in user interface development. That's an area I'm not very good at, but this is how it is happening. So the focus remains on understanding the human needs for developing the solution. Okay, so far so good. So this was a bit of the theoretical part of it and the theoretical. I will now talk about some of the practical applications of design thinking. So first and foremost, if you really think about design thinking, and it seems a very nice jargon, thinking, that is, but the genesis of design thinking is not because you're thinking in a particular manner and that's designed or anything of that sort. You could have easily called whatever I've talked about, you could easily talk about, call it natural or alternate thinking. Why design thinking? Actually, the genesis of this is because original thinking around this kind of pattern came from designers and design engineers. Though we talk about human factors to understand the underlying reason before you come with a solution, but this entire subject of design thinking actually got created or got, the initial academia and the theorists were all from engineering background because they were designing the products, right? And from there, they used the basic processes of a design workflow to come up with this structured way of thinking, which is universally applicable for creating solutions and innovation. Correct. So this is how it is. So the design thinking, the word design thinking came because it came from a design background and perspective. So this design thinking started around the 60s, 70s, and it was largely an academic subject. And it really came into popular reference because of one of the most iconic design and solutions innovation consulting company called IDEO. So IDEO came together in about 1991. And it came through the merger of design firms who were technically, they were all into product design, physical product design. And they really took it to the industry in terms of this process of design thinking. And data, actually, they came up, they started with products in the first place and very successful. So the initial things like iconic things, like the first mouse, computer mouse, Apple mouse, the Palm VPDA, Palm 5, oral toothbrushes, the squishy nature of that handle, those are the kind of things they innovated and created product. And it all came through studying the users. Steel case sleep chairs, which is very famous, These days we have these chairs, these office chairs, which is so flexible, and it's in common use these days. It's not only you are adjusting the height, you can adjust the tilt of your, the angles, the handles are kind of, you can raise and move them around. Even the lumbar support, you can actually, there's a support which can be pushed up and down to your structure, your body structure, the interventional body structure. These are very famous things, and each of these chairs cost nothing less than a lakh or lakh and a half, and they're in very common use. So these were the early days and all. By 2000, actually, they moved from not just product design to actually even experience design. And I'll talk about experience design, where I had created an entire resort experience. I was with Mahindra Holidays, and I actually worked with IDEO. I had the good fortune of working with IDEO, and that's when we did it. And they are absolutely iconic the way they think. So anyway, so therefore, what I'm going to do now is to take you through a video of a case study that one of the American news agencies had created, a workshop where they wanted to look at the design and innovation process, design thinking process of IDEO. So they were called in and they were asked to redesign a everyday article thing like a shopping cart. So in 5 days, what could they do with a shopping cart and how they can redesign a shopping cart? They actually did it. And I'm going to play that video. It's a little longish, it's about 7-8 minutes. But it gives a wonderful insight as to how the thinking process. Thinking process is not just about, thinking process is not just about the innovative idea that they come up with, but the very way they structure their teams, how they question each other, how they push each other, how they do the human factor study. And that is what gets demonstrated in terms of the design thinking process. So it's around human-centered design, the team collaboration, the rapid prototyping, and the user observations that they do. So I'm going to play this video, and incidentally, this shopping cart never got made, but this is one of the most iconic videos in any workshop which is in terms of innovation and design. So let me play that for you. It will not connect with this thing. Audio. For I think they have shopping cars and completely redesigned it for us in just 5 days. ABC News correspondent Jack Smith tells us what happens 9 in the morning, day one, and these people have a deadline.
So welcome to the kickoff of the Shopping Cart project.
This is Palo Alto, California, in the heart of Silicon Valley, and these are designers at IDEO, probably the most influential product development firm in the world. IDEO has designed everything from high-tech medical equipment to the 25-foot mechanical whale in the movie Free Willy, and the first computer mouse for Apple, Smith ski goggles, Nike sunglasses, NEC computer screens, hundreds of products we take for granted.
The point is that we're not actually experts at any given area. We're kind of experts on the process of how you design stuff. So we don't care if you give us a toothbrush, a toothpaste tube, a tractor, a space shuttle, a chair. It's all the same to us. We want to figure out how to innovate in.
The first thing, they are not experts of anything that they design. Some mic. So they are not the experts of anything that they design if you work there, right? But it's the process that they use to innovate.
By using our process of.
Project leader is Peter Skilk, a 35-year-old Stanford engineer. Project leader because he's good with groups of seniority. He's only been at IDEO for 6 years. The rest of the team is eclectic, but that's typical here. Whitney Mortimer, Harvard MBA. Peter Coughlin, linguist. Tom Kelly, Dave's brother, marketing expert. Jane Fulton-Suri, psychologist. Alex Kazaks, 26, a biology major, who's turned down medical school 3 times because he's having too much fun at IDEO. Safety emerges early as an important issue.
22,000 child injuries a year, and so they're hospitalized injuries. I mean, there are many.
So they are now studying what happens with before they even started the design or looking at the cart. They started thinking and finding or researching. So one of the problems that they realized, there's child injuries that is happening.
Others.
And theft. It turns out a lot of cards.
You heard that, theft.
As the team works, it becomes clear there are no titles here, no permanent assignments.
The other side gives a lot of help, says, be safe. That's it. I'll give you a big red ball on a post, and that says you're a big guy. If you got a ball, you're a senior vice president. What do I care? The red ball, it's all the same. In a very innovative culture, you can't have a kind of hierarchy of here's the boss and the next person down, the next person down, the next person down, because it's impossible that the boss is the one who's had the insightful experience with shopping carts. It's just not possible.
The team splits into groups to find out firsthand what the people who use, make, and repair shopping carts really think.
Okay, go. Both.
So they are not meeting just the customers. They are meeting people who make the cart, carry the cart back into the, stacking area, the shoppers. So, they're meeting everybody. It doesn't mean only the end user. And if you've also noticed, you said that the ideas can come from anywhere and not necessarily the boss. So it's a flat hierarchy. So if you want to get into this kind of a thinking in your organization, or at least for the moment when you're trying to work a solution, then you have to bring everybody down to the same level and no hierarchies. So you may have a hierarchical organization, but when you're in a workshop trying to get a solution for your business issue, then you have to get into this mode.
Card is a wind catch system, and these things have been clocked at 35 across the park.
Man, that's actually a pretty good point. The trick is to find these real experts, and so that you can learn much more quickly than you could by just kind of doing it the normal way, trying to learn about it yourself.
From everything I read, these things aren't that safe either, So probably the seat itself is going to have to be redesigned.
One of the interesting things for me is looking at how people really don't like to let go of the cart, except for the professional shopper, whose strategy is to leave the cart at various places.
3:30 in the afternoon, and the group is back at IDEO. There is no let-up.
Each team is going to demonstrate and communicate and share everything that they've learned. They are the shopping cart that they clocked at 35 miles an hour, shopping through a parking lot in the wind. We were in the store, 2 hours, and it was truly frightening to see the kind of step to it.
You ought to designate some people to make damn sure that the store owner's point of view is represented.
After 9 straight hours, the team is tired. They call it a day.
So, Michael, that's great. Thanks a lot. We had a great time today.
IDEO's mantra for innovation is written everywhere. One conversation at a time. Stay focused. Encourage wild ideas. Defer judgment. Build on the ideas of others.
That's the hardest thing for people to do, is to restrain themselves from criticizing an idea. So if anybody starts to nail an idea, they get the bell.
The ideas pour out and are posted on the walls.
Oh, the privacy blind. Like when you're buying 6 cases of condoms, you don't want to. So if it doesn't nest, we don't have this.
Organized chaos. It's not organized. What it is it's focused chaos.
Those that you post it not with an idea that's cool, but with an idea that's cool and build it. If it's too far out there and it can't be built in a day, then I don't should build it. Enlightened trial and error succeeds over the planning.
Enlightened trial and error.
Enlightened trial and error succeeds over the planning of the lone genius. If anything sums up IDEO's approach, that is it. Worried that the team is drifting, what can only be called a group of self-appointed adults under Dave Kelly holds an informal side session.
You think Kolkata can we give each team a need area? It becomes very autocratic for a very short period of time in defining what things people are going to work on.
If you don't work under time constraints, you could never get anything done because it's a messy process and go on forever.
Back at the shop, it is 6 o'clock. 4 mock-ups are ready for showing.
Baskets also can be, if you think you will have more volume baskets, I'll just move forward on commercial quick coaching.
Pile hand baskets onto a high-tech cart that gets you through the traffic jam at checkout.
That you could mount a scanner on the shopping cart so that you as the customer, as you pull it off the shelf, would scan each item.
One that's built around child safety, and another that lets shoppers talk to the supermarket staff remotely.
Where can I buy the yogurt?
Is this not a common problem?
Again,
Where can I find something?
more work needs to be done before the mock-ups can be combined into one last prototype.
Why don't we have all the cards come up here for a second? I think you take a piece of each one of these ideas and kind of back it off a little bit and then put it in the design.
The design is still not there, but there's another motto at IDEO: fail often in order to succeed sooner. And some of the team will be up half the night trying to put together a design that finally does work.
There it is!
So we took the best elements prototypes.
The cart, which is designed to cost about the same as today's carts, is different in every other way. What do you think?
Well, I'm very proud of the team. I think it's great.
Does this work for you?
Works to me great. It's also beautiful.
The cart's wheels turn 90 degrees so it can move sideways. No more lifting up the rear in a tight spot. And you shop in a totally different way. The bags are hung on hooks on the cart's frame. Remember, there is no basket here.
At first, I was a little shocked, but I think you have some fantastic ideas here. It needs a little refining, but I think that it's great. I mean, we would want them.
She also gave us some really good comments about how we can make this thing better.
A lot of hours. Also, an open mind, a boss who demands fresh ideas be quirky and clash with his, believes that chaos can be constructive, and teamwork, a great deal of teamwork. And these are the recipe for innovation. That's place. This is Jack Smith for Nightline, Palo Alto, California.
All right.
I should be violent, like.
No, this was actually a commission to understand their thinking process. I'm sure a lot of these ideas were taken up later, but their mandate was not to make one and, commercialize it. So this idea was basically in 5 days' time how we can completely redesign as maintain an item as a shopping cart.
Right. Many of these ideas are being actually implemented.
Exactly.
But I have to be working in the university.
Right.
Way back.
Correct. The self-checkouts and things like that.
Right. Before you have a queue. You don't wish to approach the side of the counter.
Right.
In order to be built right from the shopping cart.
Correct. The self-checkout and
That's where you remember this.
Absolutely. So I think this pretty wonderful the way they went around it, and if you really look at it, basically, right. So it started with the user. It's a team sport. It has to be everywhere. It's a collaborative approach. You prototype early, fail early, keep prototyping. Ambiguity, and of course the way the culture matters in the sense that you initially give a lot of time and flexibility to whiteboard, to think out of the box. But when you start implementing it, there are some time deadlines, and there's a process, and there's a demanding nature in the terms that you conclude it. So what happened, if you really look at it, I have kind of listed down. They did 90-degree wheels. We have this problem of maneuvering. They talked about child safety, personalized shopping experience like digital screen, self-checkout, store locator, adaptable cart layout, something for perishables, breakables, small things where you can keep main cart and move around, pick up things in a basket, come back. The ergonomics part of it, the handle, the stacking, theft proof. So a lot of things they did basis what they found out from everybody. So this is an example of a product design. Now, the same thing now can get extended to experience design. And experience design, what I'm going to talk about is my personal experience where I have worked with my good fortune, and it was a 3-month project. I was with Mahindra Holidays at that point of time, or at least we all know Club Mahindra is a very popular brand. And Club Mahindra is typically the annual vacation kind of product. And what we had seen that generally it was the mature audiences, the average age of entry of a member in Club Mahindra at that time was about 43, 44 years old, because it was a high ticket value. I'm talking about 2006, 5, 6 and all that, good 20 years back. And that time a unit used to cost about 3 lakh rupees. Today it's about 8.5, the average unit. So, and this was the pre-bookings.com and Agoda days. So that point of time, I got on board with Mahindra Holidays, and I was given a mandate to create a new product, which is for short break holidays against the annual holidays that Club Mahindra was, and to target a younger audience, people in the mid-20s to 30s. So a very distinctive product is what I was asked to create as a new and independent SBU. So I did that startup. And to create the product itself, and later of course I went into operations and building the team and build everything. But to create that product, it was called Zest. Zest was the name of that short break getaway product. So we engaged with IDEO and we engaged with the Berlin office, paid a princely sum of $300,000 to get this research done way back 20 years back. So this research, I will just tell you how they went around it. And this is where the human factor study was done. I will kind of, take you through that. So this was so from product design. Now we come on to an experience design. Just give me a moment. So this is what we call a human factor study that they did. So even before they started thinking about the resort, they actually went and people were taking holidays. And so they talked about what we call the customer's journey cycle. And they said the holiday, it's a holiday experience that we are going to give them. They said that the holiday is not about being there and the holiday that they had. The holiday starts from here, when you start thinking about the holiday. When you start off getting there, being there, getting back, and the reflections. This is how the holiday experience is. Holiday experience is not only at the resort. And how did they arrive at that? So they met people. They met people across various, age groups and sectors. And obviously age groups means the defined age group that we said. So it said that, they talk about what is dreaming of. No matter how nice a home you have, you still want to go out. So these are all, things that come. It's healthy to take a holiday. Or again, how can we find time for each other during our 5-month holiday? I have small children, but we also need time for each other. Holiday starts, so getting there. Holiday starts when you get out of the door. So the holiday is not when you reach the resort. It starts when we start singing songs in the car. Logistics can be painful, getting there. These are all insights, human insights. Meditation is listening to the waves, so you need solitude, whatever it is, from the humdrum of your life. Some people want a lot of experiences. They want to have an active holiday. So a resort is many things in a small place. Joint family. The young couple needs time for each other. Getting back. Leaving the resort means back to work, city, life, and stress. So what are your factors there? And reflection. Holidays is memories. So these were some of the insights. So what were the key insights that came out? And various people want it differently. So some people want intimacy. Some people want to travel in groups. It's a bonding kind of thing. Some people want to go out with the family, spend time with the children, but at the same time want their own space. The children need to be occupied. There's a work-life balance where people still need to go, check back what's happening back home, or on the business, or on their share trading, whatever they're doing. It's about food and drinks. It's about wellness. It's about nightlife. It's not about nightlife. Hear this. And I learned it the hard way. People have nightlife at home. They stay in the big cities. They don't need it while they're on a holiday for a getaway. Unless you're going to Thailand. So, activities. A lot of people want activities. Some people want to. Another important thing about holidays is that you want to have the local essence. You would like to meet the local people. So that's part of your holiday experience. You often, when you go out, you try and look into somebody's house to see how they live. That's a tendency. So these are all insights that came out of the human factor study. Then, of course, unique experiences. People just don't want to be entertained. They also want to be enriched. Hear this, and I'll tell you later. So So what did, okay, you can't read it, but so these were the kind of things that we said, and if you put all of this together, and this is how we can come up with a Zest product. So these were the insights. Anyway, let me take you to the next one. So what were the solutions that they suggested? The proposition. So now look at where IDEO starts working. So they did the human factor study. They try to understand what people are looking for in that holiday. So they're designing the experience. Now, how to deliver that experience? So they come from a business objective from Mahindra's, as I told you. It targets the younger audience, quick getaway, has a short response time to users' need for vacation. Is structured for volume sales. They're still thinking business. They've done all that human factor study and empathy and all that in terms of dreaming and all. But they are still thinking business. Provides value after coming back from the holiday. So the holiday stays with them. And Zest creates experience magnets rather than relying only on the location. People think about destinations, but what you do out there can enrich your holiday, and which makes it. So what happens is, by this, we are making the location agnostic of the Zest experience. So if you can give them a good experience, it doesn't matter where your resort is, or it need not be the most exotic place. So we have done the human, the insights I took you through. Now look at this. It says dreaming of getting there, being there, getting back, reflection, and it has to come together as a complete cycle by itself. So that's the proposition. So now then they start giving us some of the design principles. So it started with the resort structure. So they started with the resort design. So common must-haves is that it has to have decentralization, it has to variety, local connection. The resort must be rooted in the local architecture, integration of landscape, and then there are the flexible layouts in terms of whatever. So net what happens is then they started giving us the design concepts. So if you have a beach, you can have a good panorama or a valley. If you have nothing, you create a village or you create a core and getaway. These are some design principles that they gave us. From there, we actually got into the architecture that can come together with the texture and the feel of that place. And believe you me, after going through this, I am not an architect. I've never been in construction business. But I used to write out architect briefs depending on the property that we had acquired. I built 2 resorts ground up. The Zest Pondicherry, which is now Club Mahindra Pondicherry, and the Virajpet property. From buying land to delivering the last screen for that resort. And it came out of these design principles that came out. There are a lot of things, flexible, and they give us all the mood boards and all that how to do it. So this is how they came back with what could be the design elements. Rooted, high-tech, intimate, low-cost. And then they gave us a lot of mood elements, and some of it we took it. For example, let me tell you, user control. This is one of the things, because they want to be in charge of the holiday. So what we did was, one of the examples was that I spent a lot of time in doing the lighting of the room, which was controllable, in the sense that we had the controllable ones, and you could set it to various moods. You can have a party mood, you can have a romantic mood, you can have a getaway mood, and depending on the lights and the intensity and the color of the shades of the light. So that is what we provided in the rooms. So the mood of the room could be, it's actually the hands of the user, because with the lighting that they were able to set together. So this is how the design concepts came up. Or for that matter, okay, let me talk more a little bit. So, or for that matter, it was about, say they said that they want experiences, not entertainment. So what could be a good experience? A good experience could be, for example, typical. You can do your own barbecue. So one way of doing it is that you put everything together, somebody comes and does a barbecue, and here we used to actually come and ask them to do the barbecue themselves. So, but what's so great about it? The thing was that we also educated the guy, where you can have what we call a badge of experience. So when you did a barbecue, if you have to light up the fire, you don't use kerosene, because the food will start smelling of kerosene. The best thing to do is to use engine oil. Now, when a customer does it, goes back, and in his home is trying to do now what a barbecue set and doing it, he's like, and tell his friend, hey, you know what? You shouldn't use kerosene, engine oil. Or you put the meat on the skewer, and it's not that, you put the put the meat on the skewer and you put it on the fire and you start, rolling it around. You don't do it for the first 10 minutes till such time the meat actually catches the skewer. Otherwise, if you are just turning it around from minute 1, the meat will not, get onto the skewer and it will remain in the same place and the skewer is moving around and the meat is not moving around. So these are small things that actually we put it together to enrich the experience. And this all came from design thinking so this is how it is. So this is just an example of actually how design thinking can, help us to design this product. Now, a lot of you, so this is how it came together, and this is just an example, and we can use it in anything. So you can use it for designing products, you can use it for designing it. So this being my personal experience, I continue to take these lessons through anything that we keep doing. And it's always, trying to understand the underlying reason for, the situation you're in or the solutions that you're looking for. So this was very exciting. So let me tell you, in a mundane and, very boring category like plywood, which is what I'm working on, how design is helping me, design thinking is helping. So let me just take you through a very small example. I don't have a, slide on this, but I just thought I will take it. Okay. So what happens is like, and Kapur sir will vouch for it. Century ply is a very good quality ply, no doubt, but it's very expensive. So I don't know finally what you made. You manage a good price. So that's one part of it. And what happens being a branded, in this industry, actually, there are a lot of unbranded players also, and it's a very functional kind of item. And you don't even get to see it once the furniture is made, is covered with good laminate, veneers, whatever it is. So, it's a very low involvement product, is what we all believe. People are more interested in the look and finish and the design and all that kind of thing. Who's bothered about the plywood? And so therefore the internal belief is it's a commodity product, it's a low involvement product. The customer's knowledge about plywood is poor, they're not bothered. It's high price, that is why Century, we find it very difficult to sell. Not only that we find it difficult to sell, but also because we are a branded player, the margins that we offer to the retailer or a contractor is relatively thinner or very thin compared to the unbranded players where they have huge markups. And so therefore what we see is when we did the brand studies, from the intention to purchase to actual purchase, we see a huge leakage. 95% of the people who want to buy Century don't end up buying Century ply. The huge leakage. So we said that how do we fix it? Do I increase my retailer's margin? How much can I increase? Do I do great advertising? Keep doing that. We've invested, right? So we built a good brand. And so actually recently we've gone into the study, not that we've executed anything, but I told you what are the hypotheses we had, that low involvement product, customers don't have enough information, they don't buy because of high price and all that. And then when we went in and we actually met customers, we met about 100 customers, not just the end customer, but the influencers, the carpenter contractor, the architect, the retailers, and we did depth interviews, 2 hours, 2.5 hours with each of these people, starting with, what's their background, how they think, when did they start thinking about building the interiors of the house, all those kind of things. So what we realized after doing all of this is some of the key takeaways what we realized is that the customer is very involved in the plywood purchase. Though it's a very involved, we thought it was a low involvement category because they don't know about anything, they're interested in design and the final look and feel. But because it is a high value item, they get involved because it's a lot of money that they have to. Right. Second thing is that we always felt that our customers are unlike a FMCG product or a regular use product. Our product is ek baar ghar banayega to theek hai yaar. So we never, the customer came, we tried to grab him, sell the Century ply. If we succeeded, very good. If we didn't, so we let it go. And that was the end of it. So we were very transactional. Now we realize that a customer, even for the interiors of his house, comes back at least 2-3 times over the span of 20 years. You build your first home, then you upgrade to a second home. Your children are getting married, you try and upgrade. You build the first floor of your house, ground floor of your house, you did the interior. After some 2 years or 5 years, you build the first floor, you do the interiors again. When you think, no, ground floor is not good, you go back to the interior. So our customer comes back to us at least 2-3 times over a period of time. So therefore, the big insight for us is, boss, keep the customer's information with us. Then what we realize is how to understand a good plywood. We have not taught the people how to recognize a good plywood. So the retailer has his own story, the contractor has his own story, and because the customer is not informed as to what is a good plywood and why Century Ply is the better, anybody else coming and saying something, he gets easily converted, though his initial intention to purchase was very high because of a brand pull. So these are kind of things that are there. The other thing we asked him, what's his biggest pain? He says, I can't trust anybody in the system. I know the contractor is taking commission. I know the retailer is trying to sell a product which has highest margin. Whom do we trust? And surprise, surprise, they trust the company the most. And that too, because Century, for whatever it is, Century Ply for the stature that we are. So these are new things. So then we realize that the best guy to trust is the company. So why don't we take that position of being the provider of information things? So this all came up through design thinking. And warranty. People talk about 10 years, 20 years, lifetime. What's the reaction to warranty? Said, yeah, and we thought that's the best thing, because plywood, strong, durable. So if we did 20 years, competition came back with 25 years, then we went and they said, we are 30 years, all of that. But when we asked the customer, what do you think about the warranty? Is it important? He said, who cares? Because after 5 years, if I have a problem, I don't know who to go to. You might say 30 years warranty, but whom do I go to? So now what is the insight? I have to build a warranty system like a white goods purchase. So these are insights that come from design thinking. So this is my recent and practical experience. I'll give you another experience, another example. We had the loyalty program for our contractors, carpenters, contractors and all that, right? So two very great insights. So, the typical thinking is that, all the companies have various kind of loyalty programs, and one of the things you offer, first thing you offer is medical insurance. Second thing, children's education loan, scholarship, computer, laptops, those kind of things, which you think is emotionally going to appeal to them. So that's one part of it. Or holidays. He said, we'll take you for a holiday and all that. So what happened was that we floated one such Sun program where people could qualify for holidays basis their usage. And for a few people qualified, we made the arrangements, 5-star hotel in Goa, the flight ticket, train tickets, whatever, etc. What we realized is 40% of the people didn't even show up after getting all the tickets done and all that. I said, boss, something wrong. Kya ho raha hai? Are they not interested? Then is when I sent the boys back and said, bhai, pucho, kya chahiye unko? What do they want? Holiday, Goa, flight, 5-star, and they're not going. And then you went and actually talk to them, then you realize it is not even part of the lifestyle. Holiday means, kamai kam ho jayega, mera site kaun dekhega, mera carpenter log maal chori karke le jayega, bech dega. They refuse to leave the site. It's not part of their lifestyle to take holidays. Holiday means, gaon jana kisi ka shadi hai. So to offer them a holiday or insurance, medical insurance, nobody uses it. So then again we did some deep insight. We again did some, what came out? हमको इज्जत चाहिए. We want recognition. मैं अनपढ़ हूँ, मैं क्लास 10 पास भी नहीं हुआ हूँ, मैं आज ठेकेदार हूँ, मुझे इंटीरियर डिजाइनर बनना है. I want to be looking like an interior designer. So we asked him, what do you mean by interior designer? What do you want? He said, I want a visiting card. I want to be like a designer. I want to say I am certified by Century. I want to make a parchi mein nahi banana mujhe quotation. I want to make a professional quotation. That is what they require. They don't require holidays. They don't require medical insurance. They don't require tetanus shots because their hands get cut. That they do it. But this is something that they don't get. So now in our loyalty program, we have enabled them to make quotations, to make their business profile. And even if they are not used to it, and how they make the business profile, suppose the business profile is in 4 paragraphs actually. And for each paragraph, there are 5 options. So they click and drag and begin the first paragraph. He says that my name is so and so. So that is a blank. That's where he fills in. I have X number of years experience, so they fill in 20 years experience, and I have a team size of X, again a blank. And the third thing they fill in, I have 20 people working for me. This first paragraph of the introduction is done. Similarly, there's a second paragraph, again out of 5 he picks one. And so permutation combination, it is 5C4. So that's the number of combinations. So everyone looks unique. It's not that everybody is looking same. They can actually create it. He doesn't know how to read and write English. He just clicks and drops and the number does it. And that profile, he can now WhatsApp it. It comes out as a PDF format and he can actually attach the photographs of the projects he's done and send it. He can send it along with the quotation. Quotation again, we have a quotation maker. Of course, you can only put century ply, you cannot put any other ply in that, but that's how it is. These are examples how design thinking can actually give the right innovative solution, right? So this is what it is, and it's really
Design significing your end customer.
good point. So when we went on to the end customers, and I was telling you about the recent study we've done, the normal thinking, any company, and a lot of companies, we will start providing designs. The customer says, I can get the design, but I don't know, I can go to any ID and get the design, right? And maybe we can provide. But the pain point is which ID to go to, interior decorator to go to, which contractor. If we can solve for that, it's better than giving the design. Though we'll also build in that. But the primary requirement is not the design. The primary requirement is a trustworthy person and somebody telling us that you are buying the right client. So this is the customer insight, because otherwise you see all other companies, whether it be Asian Paints or other people in the building material industry, the first thing they're saying is, I will help you give you a good design. But that's not what they're looking for. They need trust.
Sir, I have one. You want to?
It's about, I always, I saw somewhere you AI, and have you all started using AI in design thinking for Century? And how are you doing?
Yeah, okay. See, AI, yes, we have started using, but not necessarily for design thinking. See, AI works at a different level. First, sorry, I'm getting a little technical. First is you must have a lot of data. So there's a data layer, because unless you have data, then you can start building something. Then what happens is from the data layer, it goes to a business intelligence level. So there's a business intelligence layer, which is analyzing that data, and predicting trends. Now, a lot of people believe that that is AI. Actually, that's machine learning. It's not yet, machine learning is part of AI, but it's not really the generative AI that we say, that, that it can start predicting what cannot. So, companies like ours, we are now at this stage of machine learning, and Gen AI will take some time, where they start building their own models of predictive behavior, which is not rooted in in just the data, but in terms of the learnings that they keep validating. So yes, we are using AI, but a very base level AI, which is machine learning.
Thinking, for example, you have to do mind mapping and all those empathy maps.
Right.
So fantastic AI tools in the market today, like broad mix, etc., where really you just speak a few words and or a prompt, and they're actually building the mind maps, coming out very powerful.
Correct. So you're right, because what happens, we ourselves are not, but some of the consultants we are working with, some of the consultants we are working with, they get into this sphere and they help us with this. But we as an organization, not yet there. And these are very early days. This is hardly last 5-10 months or a year that we are actually thinking. So design thinking is a long way off, but the basic process intelligence, process mapping is something that we are trying to do. And you won't believe it, organizations like ours, we are investing big time in educating people like us, all our entire team. We are just educating ourselves on what is AI, and it's unbelievable the kind of analysis they can come and give you. So this entire business intelligence level layers and the BI tools that we use, today with a chat GPT you can do it, except that the data is not secure, because your data then goes out to the net. So you have to have enterprise versions. AI is actually coming in very. So today we are in a stage where we are learning what it is.
So there's only one thing I want to ask. I think, I'm so sorry, thank you so much for this very enlightening. I think it was something in the way masterclass. It is like in progression. So, if that would be alcohol cleaning, it's like that school.